Greetings, good people. It's your brother, teacher Ajamu Minka Kafele. My fight for justice in the name and will of Allah is worth dying for. That's what it means. And it's my honor to be back again. I appreciate you taking time to check out this video. And as I always like to say, I'm always wanting to do more videos and content. And there's really some of my videos that I've done. I really like to do PowerPoint slides and add some visuals to them, and that just takes a lot of work. But I'm working on it because there's a lot of knowledge and, more importantly, understanding that needs to be that really needs to be put out there for the elevation of the minds. As I always say, I am brother teacher here for the rise of the righteous, so I may not resonate with everyone. So today I want to talk about something in light of all of what's going on, and there's so many topics I really want to address, but I really want to address this context of so much of white America getting involved with the Black Lives Matter slogan. Okay, not particularly the organization, which has its questionable things, but the slogan that is bigger than the organization and the role of white people. So now let me say something starting out with. There's this thing that some of our people have from the enslavement mindset, that if you're a black person and you're not going around talking about how we can all get along, and maybe how some all white people aren't bad, and we just need to work together, and all that meshy stuff, that we all one human people type of thing, that if you're not saying that, somehow you hate white people. And so I had two very good white men in my life, one from high school that helped me to go to the path of college and get educated and better my life, is ultimately was the result of that. And that's certainly the type of white folks that black people need, not someone trying to dictate so much how we need to behave as black people. And I had another white man that showed up on the scene that was a intricate blessing to my business prosperity in my real estate days. And so I love those men for what the role they played and what they did. But like I told y'all before, I'm different. If having a white friend, lover, girlfriend, spouse, family member is supposed to stop me from addressing the bigger, larger, broader picture of the racism, white supremacy agenda that is in place to institutionalize racism, that's not going to happen. And if those white folks are my friends, then they're going to acknowledge and accept me for what I bring to the table in honor of truth, justice, and righteousness. So now on to my topic, because this needs to be addressed and this needs to be understood if you're going to be dealing with trying to understand if a white person is on your is on your side, so to speak, or it's truly about, let's say, Black Lives Matter, or if it's more about let's integrate and let's treat the former enslaved ones just better. All right. And so the hard question that is before Black America and white America is the question of white survival. And so if you're going to have this integration, all get along thing, then you're going to have what you didn't have in enslavement, which was the beautiful, if you will, meshing of black and white. And when you have dating and producing children, family relations and girlfriends and things of that nature. And if you're going to have that, you're going to produce continual non-white children. It is a biological and mathematical fact that only white mating with white produces white. And so the question that has to be presented is, to a white person in particular, is, are you okay with the natural process of the union of non-white and white causing the removal, elimination, annihilation of the white race? That's a hard question, right? But it's the question that is really before us to really understand what needs to be done in answering that. And the truth of it is that there's some white people who's like, hey, whatever. that's nature, that's law, that's what it's going to be. But there is an element of white America, the white man, the white woman, their children, that are absolutely, positively in their right mind to not want that. Now, how they approach that survival is what creates conflict, which creates chaos, which is what creates a huge amount of conflict, as we see it clearly in some of the police brutality against black men and women. Okay, so they don't have to be that hostile because there's a simple solution: separation, not segregation, separation. And so, if you're going to really want to confront and address the situation of the black-white dynamic under racism, white supremacy agenda system, and determine how to resolve that black-white dynamic favorably, the question has to be presented and put forth of white people: are you okay with your race being removed faster than maybe they would in the natural process of white people being separated, black people being separated? Okay, this is a survival thing. This is the survival thing, right? And survival or self-preservation is the first law of nature. So black people, if you think that we're going to make progress and move towards getting along and being better, then what you're saying to yourself is that there is not going to be any white element that has an interest in its long-standing survival as possible. That's what you're saying, that there's not going to be a white element that has an interest basically in its long-standing survival. And if you think that that is going to be, you're absolutely out of your mind, because no one in nature, nothing in nature is trying not to survive. And so where we're at now is that there's that element of white America that is saying, hey, we're trying to prolong this as possible. Our birth rate is negative. Our birth rate, the white birth rate, is at a point where they basically will not grow at all. So how do we sustain it? The Bill Gates depopulation agenda is strictly about the survival of white America. He's not trying to kill off billions of white people, because then they literally would cease to exist even faster. And so this is about their survival. And so we need to understand that you're playing with a element or a group that is playing for survival. And black people, we don't really have a consciousness. Frances Cress Welsing really talked about this in her great work, The ISIS Papers, Keys to the Colors, one of the key books that I recommend that black people read, is that they're playing for their genetic survival, and that black people, we don't have any concept of this. Like there's never going to be a time that black people don't exist. You talk about an ecological system being thrown off whack if bees were to disappear. Well, what if the black man and woman disappeared? Total chaos in the ecological system. We are part of the makeup of the earth. We are the original man and woman. We are the original descendants from the black God, man and woman, and his woman that followed right after. And so until we want to deal with and address this with our white counterparts, our white friends, to understand where they sit, we've got to ask the question, where do you stand on the issue of white survival when you want to have black inclusion? Okay? And again, some of them might say, hey, if that's what happens, that's what happens. But there is going to always exist a grouping element that is stronghold in their right to maintain their survival. Where they're wrong is their brutality of it. But where they're right is, we plan for survival, and if you black folks are interfering with that, we're going to do everything impossible in our power as authority, as government or whatever, to maintain that survival. And they have a right to do that. And there's another group that will say, well, no, I'm not down with that. I want white people to live as long, but I don't want it to, let's not get into a brutal killing if we don't have to. Okay, if we don't have to, right? So it's the group that'll say, hey, whatever it is, hey, I like black men, I like black women, whatever, all right? There's a group that'll say, let's maintain white, but let's try to work this out peacefully. And there's another group that's just, they're going to be radical about it. And at this stage where the survival, the birth rate is decreased, it's an all-out survival thing. And if you do not understand this, my people, and even the good white people, if you don't understand this root element that manifests as wickedness in the Caucasian, that some people can't comprehend, some white people can't even comprehend from their own white people. This is that root. This is that devil that Elijah Muhammad talked about. It's that survival. Okay, we're naturally in opposition to it, in opposition to each other, because black and white mating, white with any non-white produces non-white. That's just a fact. And so deal with that, address that, bring that question up to your white friends, your white counterparts, and understand where they are, and understand where they would have a right to be in that survival, and understand where we as black people need to be thinking in terms of what is the solution. Because the solution is never, ever, ever going to be a peaceful inclusion, a peaceful integration, a peaceful all get along. We need to be separated. We need to be separated as black people. One, you need to separate, not segregation, separate it so that we can repair our minds from the whitewashing that has destroyed us from our pure black thinking. We need to be separated to return back to our true godness, our true understanding of knowledge and understanding of Allah, God, the one God, supreme being, creator, the history that goes with that history and knowledge and understanding that allowed us to build the so-called Sphinx and the pyramids, okay, that made us gods, that when they would look at the ancient African history and say, oh, these were polygods. No, you didn't understand Caucasian European coming in, man as God, women as gods, as Netarus. And so it was polygods to you, but it was a natural state of being for us. So we're dealing with survival. And so if black lives matter, then black lives must matter by understanding what is the technique and strategy that must take place for our survival, as well as the survival of the ones that we would call our white friends. This is your brother, teacher Ajamu Minka Kafele. I love you if you're righteous, and I can't stand you if you ain't. Let's go forward, do all that we can to take self-accountability, to do better, to be greater, to be our best. Talk to you soon. Peace.